Hello, everybody. Big Scary back here again. When this is my show, and always smash the like button and hit the subscribe button, and gonna bring you a pre-fight UFC 251 breakdown. This is gonna be in Abu Dhabi on Yas Island, the fight island we've heard so much about. And Dana White definitely put together a good card. I'm just gonna do the breakdown of the main event and of the main card. I'll do the post fight breakdown of the whole event, but just for the pre-fight, I'm just gonna do the main card. So all right. Without further ado, we starting off with Amanda Ribas against Paige VanZant, and if you've seen any of Paige VanZant's newer interviews, she's been talking about how she makes more money off Instagram than she does even fighting. So when I'd seen her, and also I guess this is the end of her final fight of her contract. So she was talking about possibly seeing what else is out there, testing the waters and seeing who else, if someone else is willing to pay her more. And quite honestly, I mean, if I was her, she's never going to be champion. And unless you can be champion in the UFC, you might as well go to another organization, because you can make more money off the sponsorships. The Reebok deal that the UFC has just really holds the fighters back. And someone like Paige VanZant, who actually, I mean, people like her, and I mean, not necessarily even, I mean, she's a personality. People, I mean, she's a hot chick, so I mean, people like that. So I mean, not the best. I mean, I think her best win is maybe Felice Herring, but I mean, she's not horrible. She's not horrible. When she stepped up in competition, she's lost, but she's not horrible. But so I knew they were gonna throw her to the wolves for her next fight. And I don't know, she's going against a tough contender, Amanda Ribas, she's 3-0 in her UFC at the start of her UFC career, and she was actually able to out-grapple Mackenzie Dern, who had so much hype for her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game, and she was able to control her. So, but she's actually moving up in weight to 125 for this, so she's not going to have that power advantage she normally would have. But I'm still going to, if I have to pick, I'm going to pick Ribas by control. She's going to ground out a decision. And then I think this is going to be Paige VanZant's last fight in the UFC. And I ain't good for her. I think she'll probably make more money outside the UFC. Our next fight of the evening is Jessica Andrade against Rose Namajunas, and this is a rematch of the title fight. And this is actually, Rose hasn't fought since that fight. Andrade has, I think she might have fought twice. I know she lost the belt to Wiley Zhang, which that was a pretty exciting fight right there. But if anyone remembers, in the initial Namajunas Andrade fight, Namajunas was really getting with her. She was piecing her up. She was showing far superior technique, and she was just really making Andrade miss a lot. But then out of nowhere, Andrade, I mean, she's like the female version of Wanderlei Silva, and but also add in some slams, because she power slammed Namajunas on her head and won the title. So it's going to be interesting. This is a 3-round fight, so I mean, that definitely plays to Andrade, because the longer the fight goes, the more that you figure technique is gonna overcome just aggression. But a 3-round fight, that might be short enough that Andrade is able to impose her will. But if I kind of, what I saw at the beginning of their last fight, I kind of feel like we're gonna see this more of that. So I'm gonna pick Namajunas with a decision win. Our next fight of the evening is a championship fight. The men's bantamweight title, Peter Yan versus Jose Aldo, with Henry Cejudo retiring. The bantamweight belt was up for grabs, so Dana White decided that it was going to be Peter Yan against Jose Aldo, and Jose he's had one fight at bantamweight, and he looked pretty good against Marlon Moraes. I thought he won that fight, and I guess Dana White's able to do whatever he wants to, even though the judges gave the fight to Moraes. Dana White still gave him the title fight, and Peter Yan, I mean, has looked great. This fight is all about which Jose Aldo shows up. Is it the Jose Aldo that had the amazing leg kicks at a younger point in his career and was even able to throw in some wrestling in there? Or is it the Jose Aldo of later that is predominantly a boxer and just sticks to boxing? If that's which Jose we get, I kind of feel like Yan is going to be too much for him. He's got superior boxing. Where he hasn't been tested is on the ground, and I mean, although Aldo has the skill to test him, he's not necessarily one to actually test those skills or use those skills that he has. So I don't know. I kind of feel like I've got to pick Yan, and I kind of feel I don't think this fight's going to go the distance. I think Yan's going to maybe finish him in the third round TKO. So Yan's going to win the bantamweight title. Our co-main event is the rematch is an immediate rematch also for Max Holloway versus the champ Alexander Volkanovski, and Max Holloway was the champ for a while there, and he defended his belt multiple times. He was he pretty much proven. I mean, he beat Aldo twice. I mean, he pretty much proven that of being the best featherweight of all time. But Volkanovski picked him apart. It wasn't a dominating win, but it was definitely I don't really think. I mean, Max is kind of he's talked about that he doesn't feel like it was a good decision, but I don't know. Volkanovski, he used a better game plan. He picked Max apart with the leg kicks, and he just landed harder shots. Max definitely has to do something about those leg kicks. If he doesn't have an answer for that, then Volkanovski just going to do the same thing. I feel like this is going to probably go the same way of the first fight. Really, I feel like Volkanovski's going to implement his leg kicks and with the power shots, and it's going to go to a decision, 5-round decision. Volkanovski retains his title. And in our main event of the evening, Kamaru Usman versus Game Bred Jorge Masvidal. And it was a short notice fight for Masvidal. There's supposed to be Gilbert Burns, but on a 6-day, I think that was maybe last Friday, 6-day notice. When they were flying over to Abu Dhabi, Gilbert Burns and his whole team tested positive for coronavirus, so they had to pull out of the fight. So I know it probably hurt Dana, because Masvidal had been talking a lot of mess about the UFC's pay structure, and I mean, once the fight fell through, I kind of felt like who else they needed this fight. He'd been hyping Fight Island for a while, so I felt like they needed to have him there, and yeah, Dana White pulled it out, and so it's I don't know, I'm glad that Masvidal's finally getting his title shot at 35. I mean, it's definitely been a long road. He's definitely paid his dues. But this is the worst possible way he can ever hope to get a title shot, a short notice fight against someone like Usman. I mean, in the style of an Usman. I mean, who's got decent stand up, but is a predominantly wrestling based. I mean, especially wrestling based when he actually fights a wrestler. I mean, don't be fooled by the Colby Covington fight to think that he's predominantly a striker or anything. I mean, Colby's also a wrestler, so why not strike with him? And so, I mean, it's just I don't know, unless he can pull something out early. I think the longer the fight goes, it's just going to be a grinding affair. That's usually been Masvidal's weakness is if he can get like someone like Wonder Boy is able to be more technical than him on the feet, or if you're able to out grapple him, and so that looks like the way that I would assume Usman would take, and I mean, I kind of feel like it's maybe if Masvidal had a full camp, but and I mean I've heard differing stories. I mean he was saying he really wasn't doing anything at the beginning of the week. He weighed in at one when he heard about the fight. He weighed in at 191. So he said he hadn't really been training, but I'd seen Dustin Poirier who's one of his stable mates, and he was interviewed by Teddy Atlas. And he had mentioned how Masvidal had been throughout his training, and he had helped other guys too. So who knows? It could just be trying to sell the fight. But I mean, I kind of have to go with Usman. Usman by 5-round decision. Hey, I don't think he's gonna finish him. I mean, you don't finish Masvidal. But I think Usman's just gonna be too much. So it's going to be interesting to see how everybody reacts to because that's where I forgot to even mention about the Max Holloway that apparently he is, because of the coronavirus, he hasn't sparred at all. He hasn't like even really like he's been just doing Zoom classes with his trainers, and that's, I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see how that is. I mean, I already picked Volkanovski, and I mean, that goes into that. Like, I don't know. That just doesn't seem like a good idea. Like, it's not necessarily Mike Perry having his girlfriend in his corner, but I mean, which he won that fight. But it's not, I don't know. I mean, theoretically, Robbie Lawler, toward the end of his career, said that he stopped sparring, but he at least had grappling contact, and I don't know. I don't know. It's curious to see how Max is gonna look. But I can't wait to see this UFC 251. I think it's gonna be a really, really good card. There's been some really good cards leading up to that during this pandemic, and so I think there's gonna be another big card. So can't wait to see it. But always, you can find us on Big Scary on Facebook, on Trauma Television on Facebook, because this is Trauma Television production. Trauma Television on YouTube and Twitter or at Big Scary on Twitter. And as Martin Luther King said, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice.